I remember at the time when I first hired you and I saw like the whole system clicked. I tell people like I'm gonna be like the first man on the moon in my market because there's nobody doing this sort of marketing strategy.
Hey everyone, are you ready to be fired up? Because I sure am. I have Alex Mayer here. He is in Rochester, Minnesota, right, Alex? And I know that because I see his marketing all the time, and I have over 300 students, and I still remember that. So he's going to be talking about his marketing efforts, how he sold 40 homes in 2024, one of the worst markets most people have ever had, and how he did it working less, utilizing marketing. Hello, Alex. How are you?
Yeah. Hi, how are you, Krista? Thank you for having me on.
You know, I always love having you. Okay, Alex. So 2000, we're in 2025.
Mhm.
Most, a lot of agents left the industry last year. It's very, very difficult. I know that your goal is to work less, right? You want to work less. I tell the story about how you first started in the industry and how you got busy and compare it to now.
Yeah, sure. So I actually started as a real estate agent in November of 2016. I started on a team on like a 50-50 split. I was just a buyer's agent for the first 18 months. And I have no regrets about being on a 50-50 split originally. I felt like it was the tuition that you pay in order to learn the process and guide people through how to buy and sell real estate. And so I have no regrets about being on a 50-50 split. Around June of 2018, my broker made too much money and he disbanded the team. And at that point, I went independent, joined a brokerage that was 100% split. You paid like a desk fee. And I just continued to treat myself as a 50-50 split. So I kept 50% for myself. And then every closing I had, I threw 50% into marketing, lead generation, hiring coaches. Actually, in January of 2019 is when I hired Krista. And one of the main reasons why well, first off, I read your book, Sell 100 Plus Homes a Year. And that's how I found you. And then I started seeing your stuff show up on my Facebook feed everywhere. Like I couldn't avoid you. And I was like, how do I do that? And part of the reason why I was looking for a new avenue at that point is, I was doing really well in those early years, but it was a hamster wheel. I was working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, making phone calls for 2 to 3 hours a day, calling online leads. And the problem with that sort of system is every time that you don't make the phone calls for a day, it's going to affect your paycheck sometime in the next 90 days. Those online leads, they don't know you from Adam. So you have to justify who you are every single time. And I just needed to find a better way with how much I was working. Right. And when I started seeing your Facebook ads coming up, that was when I hired you in January of 2019. And I remember at the time when I first hired you and I saw like the whole system clicked. And I know you've heard this story before, but I tell people like I'm going to be like the first man on the moon in my market because there's nobody doing this sort of marketing strategy. And I've been doing it for over 5.5 years now, and there's still no one doing it in our market. And it's mind-boggling to me because um, it just makes business easier. You know this inside of like 6 weeks of first starting running my ads, my referrals had quadrupled at that time. And I think
Mhm.
that was
Everyone
because,
hear that. From
yeah.
running his ads, his referrals quadrupled. And that's one of the things I think a lot of people miss with this ad strategy is that when you're paying for attention, you're paying for exposure, you're reminding new people about you, you're reminding old people about you so you can't be forgotten. And also you're nurturing those leads that have already in some way or another interacted with you. So it really affects, lead generation from for new clients, lead generation from past clients, and lead generation from current clients, and referrals from people that don't even know you that start to refer you.
Yes. I mean, it was really fun because people couldn't forget that I was in real estate, right? Like it's impossible. Like I know agents that'll be like, yeah, I went to Thanksgiving and I found out like my buddy worked with another friend because I didn't know you were in real estate. And I'm like, wow, I can't relate to that. But
Yeah.
but like number one most important thing you talk about it all the time, creating a parasocial relationship. Even within months of starting to run the ads, I would have people come up to me and just randomly start talking to me about real estate. It's kind of a weird thing at first. You do get used to it, but people will just start talking about real estate, and you're like, "Are you going to tell me like who you are?" Like I have no idea who this person is, right? And that part was, and I mean that still happens today. There's not like every other day I'll go out and someone will start talking to me about real estate, but I mean, at this point, with the branding strategy that you've taught us and what I've implemented over the years, there's other agents in your program, they experience the exact same thing, right? So it's people, you just kind of get, it is kind of weird because you can't like really go out and have like an anonymous, if I want to go out and drink too much, I got to do it away from my market, right? Like
That's so true. I was like, even husband, I would say, man, babe, we can never have an affair, which we never ever would because we're madly in love. But like, you can't do anything without people, knowing who you are. Okay, so let's talk about the strategy. Obviously, everyone, no shocker if you know me, but running Facebook ads, paying for attention, and through video content is, I believe, and properly distributing. I have to say that because less than 1.7% of people are actually seeing you organically. It's getting harder and harder to capture attention. And for the cost of a few cups of coffee a day, you can, run ads to make sure that everyone in your market is seeing you over and over again, and you can target them and retarget them and make sure you're putting the right content in front of the right people. So talk to me about your ad strategy, your consistency. And I also want to hear about your morning routine, because I know you're very, like, you have a routine and you treat your business like a business, but you don't work a lot, which is also kind of shocking. Yeah.
That's actually the key thing, I think, for me, that's different from most agents, especially doing the level production I do, is I probably really only work about 20-25 hours a week.
And you did how many deals in 2024?
In 2024 was just over 40.
Just over 40. Okay.
Yep.
And I know your best year with me was, I think, 51, correct?
51 for myself. I had a team of agents underneath me as well that did additional transactions, but yeah, 51.
Okay. And your numbers last year just for you was 40.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty darn good, especially considering how much you work. I know you used to work a lot more and you want to cut back because you're traveling. Like, you go on vacation every 3 months, right?
Like every month.
Every
So
month.
like in 2023, I'd have to look back at what it was for last year, but in 2023, I took 3 weeks total where I wasn't in my market. It doesn't mean I wasn't working, but I wasn't like in my market. I was able to go on road trips with the dogs, go out on vacations and things like that. And that's, one of my favorite things to do. Every year, people ask me, what are my goals for this year? I'm like, it's work less, make more.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's kind of a consistent thing. That being said, I am addicted to this. Like, I always got a podcast in my ear, or a video I'm watching, or a book I'm reading, or some, listening to you and the coaching and everything like that. So with that regards as part of it. But my marketing strategy overall, I call it the Lasso strategy: land, air, sea, and what I call strategic operatives. But it's really just a case study in what you teach us, right? Like, everything I'm about to say is stuff that you teach, right? So when I talk about land, I'm talking about being like belly to belly with people inside of the community, right? So when I work on a daily basis, I go to different restaurants, bars, coffee shops, what have you, and I pull my laptop out. In the back of my laptop, it has a few of my awards, my reviews, my name, company I'm with. My dogs are all over.
His dogs are everywhere. That's his main, and he has two of the biggest dogs ever and a Savannah cat.
Yep, and Alaskan Malamutes are my dogs, and but my land strategy is more being belly to belly with people. So when I'm out in the market, people will see me: restaurants, bartenders, coffee shop, baristas. I go to 3 different gyms here in my market, and my car is also wrapped with my branding as well. So I like to go to different gyms about 15 minutes before my fitness routine, if it's a group fitness, so people can see.
Have you ever seen my youngest daughter?
Hello.
Hello.
Isn't she a beauty?
She's popping out my
Looks
hair.
like mom. Anyways, go ahead.
I was just gonna say,
So-
don't you love that dog? Want to come and say hi and see you?
I do.
Always
I
love
do.
you.
I mean, you look gorgeous.
Thanks.
I do love that, honey. Okay, so you go to 3 different gyms intentionally to be around more people and expose yourself to more people.
Exactly. Right. And I always wear like a not always, but most of the time I'll wear some sort of real estate related t-shirt, like coffee and contracts, I'll get your home sold.
Yeah, talk about some of the shirts that you wear. Yeah, I love your shirts. Like,
They're just different shirts. You can buy them on Amazon for $15 a piece, and I'll go in. They're all write-offs, right? So I'll buy like 10 of them for $150, and I'll just wear those around town so people know I'm
and they say like coffee and contracts. What else?
Realtor with like St. Patrick's Day 4-leaf clover, Santa's favorite realtor, different things like that, right? And you can find a bunch of stuff on Amazon, or it'll show up at your office or your house. But I go to different gyms because then people see me in person. I call that my land strategy. This is, even you could say this is more of an older school approach, really, because it's SOI, people who know you see you like that. But it becomes even better when you tie it in with the other marketing strategies. So I talk about land. It's, having an attractive character, being easygoing, someone who's personable and that people want to talk to. The air strategy, that was where I really felt like your program really took off with things. I say that's my digital marketing, right? That is taking a video, recording it, putting it up on Facebook, and putting money behind it, sponsoring the ad so it gets in front of people, right? It's not uncommon for me to release a video, only put like a 2-week period and get 40, 50 hours of video watch time on that one video. When I take a listing, I'll put $20 a day behind video views, $20 a day behind reach ads. And I had one listing that went up last Tuesday. I believe that's right. And we're 7 days into that. And I sent over the information to the seller this morning. We had over 5 days of video watch time on like a 61-second video showcasing their property. So when I talk to people about the air strategy, it's about recording videos with your content, your face in front of it. And then you can target and retarget to people who are already watching your current videos. And when I talk to sellers about this, I explain to them the main difference between what I do and what other agents do is I can actually actively market on your behalf. There are other agents in my market who can record a video on your property, right? That does exist. They might post it up on their Facebook page. They might put it on their business page. Their mom, their dad, sister, and a few agents at their brokerage might like it, but they're not going to be able to get the level of views and eyeballs on it as what I can with a target and retargeting strategy that we have advanced. I mean, it's not uncommon to get 40, 50,000 people to see a video inside of a week, and seeing 5 days of video watch time on a 60-second video, that is a common occurrence for any listing that I take, right? Like, that's not an anomaly. And I call it the 24-hour plus club, where I can actually get more hours of video watch time than there is time in a day. And it really doesn't cost a lot. And there are agents out there who might record a video and they'll boost it, but it's not the same, right? Like,
Yeah, totally different. The strategy that I teach is totally different. I mean, I'm an expert Facebook ads person. I've been getting training for over 15 years on how to do it. And it's unbeatable.
It drives me nuts because there's agents that, like, fresh out of real estate school, say they're marketing experts. I'm like, yeah, there's really not a lot behind that, right?
Yeah.
But I like the difference with how you've trained us students in your organization is like, we are marketers. Like, we are the brand. We are the people who actually market on behalf of our clients. And if you know how to do it strategically, you will see results, right?
And the benefit of that too is now when Alex goes on to a listing presentation, right, he can show that data to a seller, and it's really impossible for anybody else to beat, right? I mean, when you can show that Zillow gets, 700 or 800 views and you're getting, 40, 50,000 and, 120, 140, 150 hours of watch time, which I just did the math on a 60-second video, is pretty impressive, because it's just like you explaining the fact that marketing is exposure. The more I can expose your home, the more eyes I can get it, the more amount of money I can get you, the better terms I can get you. So it just, in every sense of the word, makes such a, okay. So let's keep talking now. So Facebook advertising, marketing, you are amazing at that. Like, your marketing, you've been very, very consistent with the ads, with the, like crazy, being involved in the community, doing the community videos, doing all of that. Which videos would you say have you found to be the most successful?
So I've found the best videos are the ones where something has happened in the midst of a transaction that has somehow made me like, I want to say emotional, right? Like something happened where I'm like, this just happened. This is why you need to understand why this is important. Like, I just got a buyer who was talking about what they wanted to offer right in front of the Ring doorbell, right? This is like explaining to some like some of the crazy things that I've seen happen in real estate. Like, a transaction got delayed because the underwriter found out that there was a Menards movable shed that was encroaching over an easement, and they wanted to delay closing by 3 days to have a plot map drawn. And I went over to the property and I just moved this shed. It took me all 5 minutes in order to get underwriting to approve. So different things like that. Like, when people see you talking about what's actually happening in the market, I call it having a feet in the street perspective, like what's actually going on. People relate to that a lot more. I used to, my first like year and a half, 2 years, I did a lot of green screen videos. I have pretty much entirely gotten away from that. Nowadays, I'll just like pull out my cell phone and record a video and do it that way. I found that the engagement was about 4 times as much as what you would get with a green screen video, because people like that. So those are the main videos that I run on Facebook anyways. YouTube videos are also important. You teach that strategy quite a bit too. Those are people who are searching directly, a little bit more intentional, and it's really like free because you don't actually have to spend ads behind that. You don't need to. That is also a part of my air strategy. I also include really any digital marketing within that my about page. If you ever go to my about page on my website, what I did is I looked at the 10 competitors in my market. I looked at 10 not competitors in my market. I did look at 10 competitors in my market, but I looked at 10 people outside of my market too. And I wrote down all the things that they talk about in their about page. And then I was like, okay, based off of this, how should I make it so that when someone looks at my about page and they look at this agent's about page, that they're like, well, this person's head and shoulders above everybody else, right? Your coach, Russell talks about this all the time. It's called hacking, right?
Yeah.
Hacking what people are doing and what's working. And I did that probably about 4 years ago. So I know that if someone is looking at my about page and looking at another agent's about page, mine's going to stand out significantly.
Mhm.
In addition to that, making sure that I'm getting regular and consistent reviews on Google and So Tell Us, which is a website that you had us start using. I have over 250 5-star reviews on So Tell Us, and I market that like crazy, right? So people can go out there, and my reviews are thorough. Like we're talking like 12 to 20 lines of information from my clients. It's not just someone saying, oh, he was great. Like they're talking about what's going on. And I do coach them a little bit on how I want them to write the review. I want them to talk about my core values of education, communication, responsiveness. I want that to show up in my stuff. So that's mostly my air strategy. So like if someone is looking, like they're not physically belly to belly with me, like with land, but it's like digital, right? You're on your phone, you're looking on Google, you're seeing things like that, right? My C strategy, and I really started implementing this a lot more within the last 2 years. The first one is I wrap my car. My C strategy is things that are tangible. You can touch it, but it's not belly to belly with me, right? So that's the thing. Like these coasters, I order 10,000 coasters at a time, about $1,600 a pop from Stomp Stickers, and they have my dogs on it. They have my reviews on it. They have a QR code. They have
So let me explain what he's talking about. So he has a coaster, and on the coaster there's a QR code. There's his dogs, which he's branding himself. There's of course Alex, and he does a market update. So a market update that is what the QR code goes to. So now he's in the restaurants giving away these coasters for free, and he's getting on average about 200 eyes per coaster. So these coasters are 6 cents a pop. All right. And now they're seeing Alex, they're seeing his signs. Now they're seeing him when they go to the bar or to get some coffee or to the local restaurant. They're seeing his Facebook ads, right? He has this omni massive presence. And this is something that you can do even as a new agent or new to an area, because perception is reality. It looks as though you're busy even when you're not. But notice he's investing. He's investing his energy, his time, and his money because he understands that he is a business owner and an entrepreneur. He's not just a real estate agent. He's not just a salesperson. He is treating his business like a business. And he's hit about 33% of his marketing last year. He made a $360,000 in commission. He said about 120,000 were expenses. That's not bad, right? Still taking home 240,000. But he's spending money to make more, including hiring the best coaches in the industry.
There we go, right? And a few corrections just on the coasters with that. The QR code actually just takes them to my about page.
Okay.
And it's about 200 impressions, meaning, the average coaster cost me about 6 cents after I buy 10,000 of them for $1,600 from Stomp Stickers. From that, I will drop them off, and I usually drop off like $200-$300, two or 300 at a different restaurant or bar regularly, and they're at 30
I
different.
love it.
Right, but I mean, yeah, it's got my dogs on it. It's got me on it. It's got an award I won for best agent in my area. QR codes.
Which, by the way, he's gotten that 3 years in a row.
Yep, 3 years in a row. I should have got it in the year before too. I got runner up. But anyways, the coasters are a really powerful thing. Running those out there, like I would say probably every 3 days someone will take a photo of them out to a restaurant or bar of my coaster, right? And I always post that stuff up on my story so people are seeing it consistently. But it's fun, and I've had clients who like ask me about them or ask me to send them some of them, or I know some of the restaurants and bartender people tell me they picked them up that way. So that is part of my C strategy. I would say this is probably the most powerful thing I've done for my business in the last year, though. Right? These are they don't a lot of restaurants and bars, they love these things, especially if you get good quality ones. Another aspect is I got my car wrapped with my branding. And what I did is I went to Freelancer. I hired an editor to design the wrap for my car. I had a contest created. I got 200 submissions. You taught all of these things about how to create a contest on Freelancer. And then I took that and I sent that to a local person. And for like, I think it was like $2,000. I'd have to look back at the receipts on it. And I had them wrap my car. I have two cars. I have a Jeep that is not branded, and then my hybrid, which is branded because I want to be able to go to listing appointments without my branding on the car. But that has also been good because anytime I go on a showing or I'm driving around, I will drive that. When I go to restaurants, bars, to the gym, I'll try to park it in the most regular area so people will see it. It is eye-catching. It's a unique car. When I say it's branded, it's not just like my name and a phone number and a house. Right? It's got the dogs on there. It's got the reviews. It's got things like that. In addition to that, I also do postcards. That's a recent thing. You taught us the location domination thing. I spend about $750 a month targeting 750 houses, and I use Wise Pelican. I know you use every door direct mailing, but I like being a little bit more specific and targeted. And so I use Wise Pelican, and that is another thing because if they're seeing my car, they're seeing my coasters, they're seeing the video ads. If now I start showing up in their mailbox, like people are just like, you are everywhere, right?
Yes.
And so when I talk about C strategy, I mean these are things you can touch, but it's not being face to face with me directly, and it's not digital at the same time too. And
Yeah.
then my last strategy, I call it strategic operatives. And these are people who are like my top 100 clients and referral sources, right? These are the
Strategic partners, basically.
Yep, strategic part. I call them strategic operatives because it flows more with the Lasso idea, right? And I use that when I talk to my sellers too. Like when I take a listing, we're going to do an air approach. We're going to have a land approach. I don't personally host open houses, but I got agents who do. And then I will actually target like 100 neighbors in your neighborhood and say, help choose your neighbor, right? And then because I tell them like there's people who live there already. These are your strategic operatives that might know someone who wants to live next door, right? It's not uncommon for someone to know someone who wants to live right next door to them. And because these are the people who already bought in your neighborhood, right? Like, why not? Right. But with strategic operatives, like these are like my top like 70 clients or the people who are referring me regularly. And these people get like pretty much touched like every other month or so, whether it's postcards or gifts. And part of it is just knowing who these people are, right? Like once you know who they are, if you see them out in your community, you can acknowledge them a little bit more. But one thing that's been an ongoing trend for the last 2 years is that there's those Facebook groups when someone is asking for a realtor in your community and they can bombarded with like 300 comments from people saying a different agent's name. Consistently, I'm mentioned the most, and usually I'm mentioned 2 times more than the agent that's next. And actually, in 2024 alone, I got 8 different clients specifically from the Facebook groups in my area. And I never actually ask for referrals, but I always thank people who are referring me, and I send them cards of gratitude. And anytime someone does send me a referral, I say thank you to them as well. It's just always appreciating those people so it works out even better, right? So when I talk about land, air, sea, and strategic operatives, like it's a whole well-rounded marketing approach, and you're kind of hitting things in from multiple different angles, right? I had a listing appointment that someone called me. It was like the day before Christmas Eve, and she was like, I saw your name show up on Spotted in Rochester, which is a Facebook group, like multiple times as someone to talk to. And then it turns out my mother knows you. And I was like, okay. And so, and then they got something in the mail from me. So, I mean, like when you do these things consistently, you're just kind of hitting them from multiple angles. And it really just solidifies you as a community market leader, right? Like that's what you're teaching us to do. So I always say my Lasso strategy is really just me doing what you've told. I'm more of a case study than anything.
Yeah, you are one of the best. I especially because you used to be a cold caller and I used to call. Oh man.
And I'll still make the phone calls from time to time. Like I like money, so I'm a big fan of 5-figure checks. So I will make the phone calls to see if someone wants to work with me.
Occasionally, yes. I love it. I love it. This has been great. I mean, you have given so many key points. I think the thing that you all need to listen to. Oh, and by the way, if you want to learn, Alex is one of the authors in my book, Top Producer Secrets. So be sure to grab that. Also, if you want to learn more about these strategies, if you in the notes, you will see my event. Go to KristaMashore.com / I cannot remember the name. It'll be in the notes. Look at the notes because I can't remember what the name, I think it's, I don't remember. Anyways, but we go over all of this video, our listing process, what we do to get sellers to raise their hand for a listing, what we do before the listing. We go over video content and funnels and how you can dominate your market locally. And we show you exactly what Alex is doing in much greater detail. But Alex, this has been great. Like, one of the things I wanted to say is that you have treated your business like a business. You've continued to grow and add as you've continued to learn. You are constantly learning and you are very consistent, right? And he is treating his business truly like a business. And if you go back and listen, I mean, there's so many nuggets here. And I know that most people in the beginning can't do all of them, but I will tell you, everything he's saying is exactly what I did. And that was exactly how I averaged over 100 homes a year, every year. Average 133 homes is what it was as a solo agent, 19 years running. So it does work, but you have to work it. And you have been very good at being consistent and treating your business like a business. I've seen you grow so much. It's been really nice to watch you. And I think this is the best podcast. It is the best podcast that I've done with you. I mean, it was very, 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 a ton of information. Okay. I do have a question. I've never asked this before. I have a lot of students that have been with me for a very long time, 6 years, 7 years, 5.5 years. You've been, 5+ years now. Why? Why do you think that is? Why is it that people stick around so long?
Well, number one is the community within what you've built, right? So in the past, when I've talked to people about this, I'm like, Chris is great and you're amazing. You have, master's degree in curriculum instruction. So you built this way. You eat your own dog food. You hire people to do things that to your weaknesses, essentially, so that it is a better system and it's all available. But honestly, the best thing that you've done is you've done this thing where you've taught us to attract the type of clients we want to work with, and you've attracted the type of students into your coaching that you want to work with, right? And because a lot of us are very similar to each other, we're all learners, we're all go-getters, we're implementers. So like when someone's doing something different or they're something that's working, like we all share that within the community, right? It's not common for me to go to a real estate event, and then to run into like a dozen people that are all top producing agents in their market. And we all know each other, even if we've never actually physically met, right? I've met a lot of them now in person, right? But like, because we see each other on the videos regularly, the community of people within the coaching program is probably the biggest assets, right? Like the Facebook marketing is so important. Really, it is. Mindset's all really important, but also having those other people that are doing the same thing you are or doing things differently and working in their market, it's easy to pick up on what they're doing and implement that yourself.
And everyone shares. It's so much camaraderie. I mean, in local markets, nobody's sharing. Nobody wants to tell you what they're doing because they don't want you're competing with them, right? But it's a completely different environment. We hear that a lot about the community. Absolutely. What about the listing process? Would you tell me, like, as far as the listing process goes, have you implemented it all?
Yeah.
You have your book done, you have marketing plan done, all seller guide, all the things. How?
So I didn't do the book, and the reason I didn't do the book is I want the book to be my book.
Okay. Well, we're deleting that part right there, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about the listing process.
All right. So listing process, I have a video that goes out to everybody who reaches out to me that they want to talk to me about listing, or they're trying to figure out what their property is worth, right? I personally will record a Zoom video. It's usually about 5 to 8 minutes long, just really briefly introducing myself, explaining things in person, and breaking down the online information that I'm able to find. I always have a caveat to that. I'm like, the online information isn't specific. I haven't been inside your house. I don't know what updates you've done to it. Like, it's my opinion on what your house might actually be worth is going to depend on me actually being in the property. But what it does is it creates a video where they can see me interact and get to know my personality a little bit more. They see me explain what I feel is special about my digital marketing strategy. And then from there, they'll watch that. I can see how long they watch that using different video tools. And then I can schedule a showing to come out there and visit with them, right? And I mean, really, with the digital marketing itself, like, you can differentiate yourself from other agents out there just because of what we do with our digital marketing. right? By showing the reach and things like that, right?
So good, so good. Okay, this is awesome. So I always end with like a quick rapid fire. Actually, the number one question is if you could give any piece of advice to an agent or a business owner, because this strategy works for any business, what would that advice be?
Can I do two?
Yes, you can do two.
Let's do this. The first one is you always got to make it about the clients first, right? So number one is always the clients. If you take care of the clients, they will refer you additional business, right? Like you give them a good experience. You explain to them that there's a process to this. You execute on that process. You deliver on it, and they're going to have a good experience, right? Because you've explained everything to them up front. The second thing I tell people is you have discipline to do a little bit of work every single day, right? You have to be consistent in what you're doing and building it brick by brick. Small changes on a daily basis lead to huge results over time. And if you just start, you put one brick down today, another tomorrow, after a few months, you just have this wall that business just becomes easier for you, right? And it's all about being consistent, having a routine, being consistent.
Consistent and disciplined. I love it. I love it. Such good advice. Alex Mayer, where can people reach out? Where can they find you on socials, and where can they reach out to you for him? Because he's the guy you want to give referrals to. Trust me, he takes great care of his clients. I know this. I've seen him do it over and over again. Alex Mayer is who you want to give your referrals to. Alex, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook. I mean, Alex, Alex, Mayer, Mayer. I'm pretty responsive, right? It's
And
public.
he's from Rochester, Minnesota.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you were just as fired up as I am. I loved meeting with Alex today. And remember, knowledge is not power, implementation is. And if you keep doing what you've always done, you are going to get a different result. And I just will remind you, Alex is in the exact same market that all of you are in, so there are no excuses. If he can do it, so can you, and we will see you next time. Be sure to subscribe, and do me a favor, if you think this is helpful, forward it and give us a 5-star, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching my video. You can learn more about how to be a successful real estate professional by watching other videos that I have. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. And as always, make it a great home selling and buying day.